get this nasty episode over with.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for another interesting episode from the Football Fan Zone. And yes, another weekend of Premier League action has come and gone. Yeah, as usual, exciting football all around. You saw it was a weekend dominated by last minute goals. Last minute goals. Yeah, it was as usual interesting football. And yeah, we're back with the gang. The Football Fan Zone gang is in full this week. Let me start from my bottom right. Chooks, AFC, the Arsenal fan. Chooks, how's your weekend been?
Man, I can't I can't say what I want to say. If not, Adam's is going to suspend me 6 months. That's all I can say.
All right. We'll get to you, Chooks, from the Arsenal perspective. Let me come to my to the top left hand corner of my screen. The Adams, how are you doing, man? I know you must be
Hey
buzzing.
man, eating good over here, bro. No
Bro, yeah. I,
complaints,
I,
man.
I can see the leftovers are still stuck in your.
You know,
All right, let me come over to Uzo. Spurs, another Spursy weekend for Spurs, right?
It's just who we are, mate.
Spursy weekend. All right. Let's. We're gonna get into everything: Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, some Manchester United as well. So there's only one place to start. Um, the big game of the weekend: Chelsea versus Arsenal at the Emirates. The game ended in a 2-0 draw. It was an exciting game, interesting game. From a Liverpool fan perspective, yeah, Liverpool didn't play too well, but we're happy to sort of like come away with the draw. Um, I don't know if Chooks is ready. I was about to come to you, Chooks. Are you with us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me come to you, Chooks. First of all, what was your take on the game?
I don't know. We haven't been too good this season, but that first half was I enjoyed the first half performance, but then again, more injuries. Gabriel goes down, and it's like after that moment, we couldn't be on the front foot. But the overall theme of our season are the referees. Every single game, there's a refereeing decision that just puts my head on Mars. And maybe that might be the story of our whole season, because I feel like every game is inconsistent officiating. So it's kind of hard to even judge. But if you when you play the most informed team in the league currently, if you get away with something, you just hold that. So I guess taking a point in our own home is not the worst thing that could have happened today.
Hmm. First, the Adams. Let me come to you. I don't know if you saw the game. I know just to bring in some sort of perspective. I remember some weeks ago, Arsenal were like the way they were playing. Everybody was like, "Yeah, they're going to be like the team to beat." I think I remember you saying, "Wow, they look defensively solid." Hard to break down. That sort of vibe we're getting from them. I even saw Arsenal fans, after the City game some weeks ago, saying, "Wow, if they can, go to Anfield and play Liverpool and not lose, they see themselves going the season unbeaten." But a lot of water has passed under the bridge since then. But by the way, by the way, I just wanted to get your perspective on the game, especially from Arsenal's point of view. What happened? What happened? Do you think they'll be the more disappointed team coming out from that game?
yeah, for sure. I think they'll be more disappointed because it felt like, and it's funny because I know Chooks talked about the injuries, and I felt like Liverpool were not at the best today, and Arsenal being the team at home, I just expected them to maybe do more in terms of going at Liverpool. They sat back too early for me. like early in the second half. I think it was around the 60 something minute or 70 something minute, and I didn't see much attacking intent from them. Chooks pointed out Gabriel. I would have argued that even if Gabriel was there, they would have still played the same way. I don't know, but the question now remains: will Liverpool score the equalizer? But I just felt like at home against Liverpool 2-1, I felt like they could have still kept knocking on the door and still be in control of the game. Of course, Liverpool is not a pushover. You expect Liverpool to have chances. They're a very decent team and they can hurt you when they get chances. But I still feel like Arsenal could have done more. And yeah, let's not also forget that the game against Bournemouth, it was they were a man down, so they could always use that excuse. But for a team that is trying to win the league, although those excuses, you can only give those excuses for so long, right? Yeah, you just have to look for ways to win games. That's what you have to do. You have to look for ways to win games. And this is not a terrible result. I don't think it does too much in the whole grand scheme of the season. But in the position that they were, especially the Liverpool team that turned up today at Emirates, I just felt that they were there for the taking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on with that. I know I was sort of discussing with my brother who is an Arsenal fan, and he was like, "Yeah, we're in some sort of agreement that I think the theme around Arsenal, from what I've seen so far this season, is there's this like they sort of go back into like a defensive shell. If you get what I mean, like especially maybe when they take the lead in games, they're like, yeah, let's hold what we have. And I think some sort of pundits, I think Roy Keane was one of them, was saying, yeah, you can understand. Okay, most of the games they've gone a man down, so right, they're trying to like be defensive, protecting what they have. But at the end of the day, that can only take you as like that sort of excuse can only like fly over some certain parts of the season. Like at the end of the day, when the season comes down to the final day or at the end of the season, we're like, oh, nobody's going to be saying, "Oh, you were the man down." I just feel like Arsenal can be a bit more attacking, right? Because looking at the game today, when they were leading 2-1, they sort of like, okay, Liverpool, let's say, what do you have to do? Come and break us down. And they just sort of like went back into it like a defensive sort of formation. And then when Liverpool equalized, you now saw like, okay, they now like, okay, let's now come back in and attack and see if we could win the game. Where, like you mentioned, like where majority of us fans saw the game, it was like Liverpool was there for the taking. The Liverpool that showed up today was like at 2-1, Arsenal could have attacked more and made it 3-1. But anyway, that's hindsight. Who knows? The Uzo, let me come to you, right? Let me get your own take on the game as a sports fan.
Yeah, I don't know what game most people watched. I didn't think Arsenal were all that defensive. I feel like the only team.
Thank you.
I mean, I agree that Arsenal will be the more disappointed side, but the reason why is because they were the only ones, in my opinion, that ever looked like winning that game, and I think it is 1,000% 2 points dropped for them because on the whole of the game, I feel like they deserve to win it. And I don't think Liverpool really deserved anything from that game. And I think the fact that Liverpool is happy with the result and the fact that we're not saying Liverpool is the more disappointed team is very telling because the only team that should have been looking like the team to win the game, in my opinion, would have been Liverpool because you're going into a rival, you're going away from home. That's all granted, but they're dealing with a major injury, a suspension, coming into the game with a recently fit Saka. Then during the game, you're another major piece of their team goes down. Timber goes down at some point during the game. I mean, they end the game with a back line of Ben White in center back, Kivior, who they were trying to ship off in the summer, Partey at right back, and Lewis Skelly, who's a kid from their academy, 17-year-old kid, as their back four. So from a Liverpool perspective, I'm expecting, and Slot has been, I almost called him Klopp, not there yet, but Slot has been praised a lot for his kind of like more pragmatic approach, very controlled. There's a thing I do as a degenerate gambler. If I'm watching a Liverpool game, once it gets around 60, 65 minutes, you can go take under whatever amount of corners because there will be no more attacking intent. I can almost guarantee Liverpool probably averaged maybe one or two corners for like the last 30 to 40 minutes of a game. And that's because they pretty much take the sting out of the game. You see the wingers start to cut back, cut inside. There's no that Klopp approach of going for the kill. And while that is a welcome change from the Liverpool of old, I feel like in a game like today, you have to be able to pick your spots, right? When you have to go for it and when you don't. I think Liverpool being at the top of the table, so coming to a team that is expected to challenge for the league, I feel like this is one of those opportunities where you have to go for the juggler. You have to go kill them. You have to go crush their spirit, because a loss for Arsenal in this game could have potentially been very debilitating, right? From the fan base, from a morale perspective. I don't know what the injury is with Gabriel. I know Saliba's going to be back in the team, but I don't know how far away Odegaard is from coming. But if they leave there with 0 points, deflating loss, more injuries, you can be looking at eliminating one major competitor for the league, right? So I feel like Liverpool should be more disappointed, but the fact that they aren't is very telling on who was the better side during the game. And I think credit to Mikel, he managed the game properly, in my opinion. I think when they took a 2-1 lead, they went into a mid block. I didn't see a low block in this game. They went into a mid block, and Liverpool couldn't play out from the back. They couldn't get any incentive. They couldn't get up the pitch, and they weren't creating anything. In fact, I'd argue it was when Arsenal decided to go attack that Liverpool caught him on the counter. And the fact that you're getting caught on the counter at 2-1, with all the criticism that we've had of Mikel in the past of shutting up shop, I think if he did shut up shop, they probably end the game with 3 points. And so they picked their spot to attack. Nelly was poor, didn't retain the ball. They turned the ball over, and then the rest is history. But yeah, the way I saw the game was I was pretty impressed with a very injured Arsenal side. I think they probably deserve to win on the whole, but that's the Premier League. That's the Premier League. You give your opposition one opportunity, and then you give a guy like Salah a chance. You already know what that's leading to. I think he's now up to 8th in all-time scores in the Premier League. So that's absolute madness. That's absolute madness. But yeah.
Yes. That's absolutely crazy from Salah. I think he has also equaled Robbie Fowler's goal scoring record for Liverpool as
For
well.
Liverpool.
So
Wow.
yes, so that's pretty nice. Sticking up the Liverpool goal scoring chart. We'll come to Liverpool shortly. Just to conclude on the Arsenal side of the story, Chooks, let me come back to you as the Arsenal fan, right? So 2 questions to sort of close off this Arsenal discussion. I know it's still early, just right. 9 games. It's crazy because it feels like we've been playing for like half of the season, but it's just only 9 games, right? I know majority of fans will say, yeah, it's still early. 6 points behind Manchester City. Are you worried, Chooks, in terms of like the title picture for Arsenal? And then the second part.
I'm extremely worried. Well, yeah, you can add the second question.
Oh yes. So the second part of the question is the next game for Arsenal. So there's Carabao Cup fixtures this midweek. I'm thinking, I don't know what Mikel is thinking or what you're thinking. I'm thinking so there'll be a lot of changes for Arsenal, right? Preston, I think they're in the championship.
Preston and then Newcastle.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it might be like 11 changes or something. Or would you like to see Mikel just stick with some sort of senior players?
He should make some changes. But after the Bournemouth game, I remember texting Uzan. I told him, we're not bad. I feel like we're the second best team in the league when we're healthy. And it showed today, like all the players out, and you can see how it feels like we had our starters, albeit the quality is not really there from Kivio when he came in for that goal. But if we have our full 11, which you can't always be lucky with injuries, it would have been a whole different story. But with Man City, just going based off trends, being 6 points behind them is never good. Them being 6 points behind you too is never good. But for sure, when you're 6 points behind them, is never something that you are, especially when they haven't played their best and they are not dropping, like they're not slowing down. They're just picking up points, whether they win or they draw, just picking up points after points. So that's what was worrying.
Is it better though for us now to be the one playing catch up? Do you think it suits your narrative more?
maybe it's better for a narrative, right? But when you're trying to win something, you want to be ahead. You don't want to chase because at that point you are living just like last season. Once they went in front, you're just leaving your own destiny in someone else's hand. That's never a good thing. But for narrative, obviously, it's nicer when you can
Chris
be
Wood.
and know quote unquote bottle. But if you are trying to go for the league, you have to try and be close to them. And from what I saw today, it's just unfortunate that this season we've just been so unlucky with injuries, with officiating. It's like we've been so unlucky. At the end of the day, Adam said it like it's not an excuse when you're going for the league. Find ways to win games. But just from a fan perspective, like what Uzo said, I didn't see any low block, nothing. And the first time we tried to expand the field, Trent gives a nice ball to Nunes. He controls it perfectly. We end up conceding. Maybe we have Gabriel and Saliba playing, like that chance doesn't happen, or maybe that's nothing too. Someone was saying the young boy there, we're up 2-1, just recycle back to Raya, keep the ball in the middle. There's no need to be too adventurous at that stage of the game. Maybe Zinchenko that played it back, and we see stuff like that. I saw with Partey a lot. At some point, Partey stopped sending those long balls to Saka. He just recycles and we keep possession. We're not trying to send it long, but all that one is just stuff that the kid is 17. He's going to learn from. So yes, I'm worried, but 9 games in, it feels like we've played 30 games.
Exactly.
And
but this is what happens when the league is competitive, because every game is so
it's so
tasking.
important.
Every week feels so long, like it, and like all of the narratives that come from any given game week feel like so exhausted. Like it feels like we have so much to touch on, and it's only been 9 weeks, and we've already recycled different narratives, revisited some. So people, it's like cases are booming. So people are getting cleared. People are going to jail. The same guy that was just in jail, they bring his case back. They're like, I don't know, man. It seems like he's okay. Get him out. Now bring him back. Repeat offenders. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But this is why we prefer for the league to be more like United being bad. That's not good for business. It's not good for business. We need more people to be facing charges. Right now, United are like that team that it's like they're criminals, but you just let them out because they're not harmful criminals. They're not doing. It's not like a murderer.
This is an analogy, man.
It's not like a murderer. Like they've been arrested for like pissing on the fence. Back in Nigeria when you piss on the fence and they carry you, instead of carry you, like you'll be the first one let out of jail because it's petty crimes. Like we're not interested in stuff like that. We need the real criminals, terrorists, guys like Arteta. Those kind of guys are the guys that want to be facing, to be on the stand.
So I think in terms of like Arsenal, right? I think there's no doubt that Arsenal is going to be thereabout, like in terms of the title again this season. Like
sorry to cut you short, Pius. When do we stop the injury excuse? Because I heard it a lot last season for other teams. People kept saying, "Nah, you can't say you have injured players." When does that stop for us now?
Adams, were you not the same person coming on here all the time talking about it? So
that's
now
what I'm saying.
you found out to put toothpick in your mouth. Suddenly now,
no. But people were saying now you can't say you can't.
Stop that.
You can't say
I remember last season you were crying about it way more than any of. Literally, you didn't smile for 1 month. No. Stop it. Just Pius, go on. Don't allow me. You cannot get. Let me turn on my camera. You cannot get that off. Anyone else? The only person that can get that off here is probably Uzo because he never talks about injuries. But you cannot get that off.
No, I was just saying when.
No, you can't say. Okay? No, you can't say. Don't say.
Go
on.
Go ahead.
Adams, you cannot get it off. Any other person on the podcast, on our platform on Twitter can say something. Last season,
they say, Adam, they say you should DM your opinion to a neutral party.
With Chick's camera off, it feels like those calling shows where the guy is just calling it to run.
That's the energy I'm trying to give. Adams, go and DM Salon Dev, man. You push the talk about it. But Adams cannot get that off. Any other person can get it off. Adams last season. That was all the Chelsea. You were even giving us new terms of medical injury. Please, 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 please.
Now you know the thing that kills me with the Chelsea injury list. They were calling guys that were probably even on loan at
Bro,
Strasbourg.
they were calling guys.
They
Imagine
were
me
like,
saying,
David Washington is huh?
So yeah, this David
we
Washington.
we had a legit case for
Uzo,
injury.
do you know what today's version will be? It's like me coming here to say, yeah, Tierney is injured. That's why we don't have a left back.
Nah. We
Eh,
had
see him.
we had legit. No, you see Lavia. You see Lavia today. Yeah, that guy didn't even
No.
do for like 40 minutes last season.
Adams,
Mm.
last year you were calling David Washington. You would think the guy is a musician.
Oh, guys, okay, all right. Yeah, let's give us now like slack in terms of who put their season right now.
But an attitude I want to get is, Pius, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are really sitting there. A game you should have won. You are telling me that we should what, I don't even know what to say. You should be ashamed of yourself, Pius.
Okay. So I'll
We
talk
ended
about
the game with somebody that is old enough to be your son and left back. And you couldn't live with 3 points.
I mean, he's saying we'll get to the Liverpool segment.
Yeah. I was just exactly. Just that's where I am now. So yeah, so the Liverpool perspective, right? Yeah, as a Liverpool fan, like I told Adams yesterday, like yeah, my initial decision, if I see a point, I'll take the points, right? Regardless of whether Arsenal have injuries or whatever happens with sort of like refereeing decisions, I'll take a point from the game. But seeing how the game unfolded, yeah, we didn't play so well today. I thought we could have played better for some segments of the game. It felt like at some point in the first half, it just felt like we couldn't hold onto possession. We were just hoofing off the ball, hoof ball, no direction. Nunes couldn't hold it up. For some weird reason, Thomas Partey was having the better of Darwin Nunes. The better of Luis Diaz. I was like, what am I watching here? But yeah, it was that sort of game from Liverpool. Poor for like majority of the players were poor. The only player that I would say, yeah, good game from him was Ibrahim Konate. So that sort of tells you like where the pressure was in the game. Yes, so second on the table right now, a point behind Manchester City. Coming into the season, if you ask me 9 games in, if this is where we're going to find ourselves in, I would have taken it. So yeah, a bit disappointed, but yeah, looking at the sort of like larger picture, like yeah, the longer term, it's sort of fair for me, right? Uzo, I'm going to come to you first, right? So what has been your assessment of Liverpool 9 games in? Plus, what I know you've spoken a bit about today, like yeah, Liverpool were not, Arsenal was a better team, but in terms of overall assessment of Liverpool 9 games in, what have you made of the Arne Slot era so far?
Yeah, there's a thing that one of my favorite podcasts does. They analyze a game and they say, is it a bad day or is it a bad sign? Like, so is it a bad day where you just flush it, whatever, we move on, or is it a bad sign? Meaning, does this bear anything for the future? Should people take it seriously? Is this a sign of things to come?
Like symptoms of it?
Yeah, is it like an omen? But honestly, I think it's a bad day, right? And the reason why I say it's a bad, because I think one of the things that I was saying last week on the podcast, you guys weren't here. I said it felt like both Chelsea and Liverpool had a lot of questions that they needed to answer within the same game. So fans of both teams were curious for kind of similar reasons, but coming from different approaches. Because Liverpool didn't have a disastrous season last year, right? So technically, where they are shouldn't be surprising. But it's a new regime, so there's kind of that confusion of, are we the same team? Are we slightly better? Are we slightly worse? What should be the expectations? Because they didn't do any business in the transfer window. The only thing that changed about the team is the manager, right? Chelsea had a disastrous season by their standards last year. They were trending on the up towards the end of the season. They now have a new regime. So for them, it's more of like are we good and how good, right? And I felt like my answer last week was, I think both teams got a positive answer for different reasons. I think for the result, Liverpool can say, you know what, maybe we are the same team and we're capable of being better. And Chelsea, despite the poor result, got a boost from the performance to say, you know what, we are better than we were last year. Like at the bare minimum, they're better than they were last year. Today, I feel like I'm going back to that same approach. It's a good result on the whole, right? Going away from your from home, playing a top six rival, a team that you're currently ahead of in the table, to at least stay their hands and say, you know what, you're not catching us today. That's at least beneficial. And the team showed resolve going down twice away from home, the crowd against you to fight back and get back in the game both times. That there are positives to take from that. Performance wise, it's a worrying sign to go back to back important Big Six games, right? And let's be honest, like both have been your worst performances of the season. Even the Forest game, right, which was a loss. You can't say the performance was worse than the Chelsea and the Arsenal, because I just didn't think the team had any incentive. Like there was no advantage in the game. They didn't seem like they were able to retain possession. Gravenberch was not good. This was the first 90 that I've really got to watch him fully, and I didn't see player of the season like the way Liverpool fans have been yelling. You know what I mean? I expected someone to come in. The Arsenal midfield is heavily depleted. Partey is playing right back. Declan Rice, quote unquote, can't progress the ball. Marino looked out of place in his first start against Bournemouth. They don't have a natural 10. I'm expecting you, being Gravenberch, come in, boss the midfield. Boss the midfield, get the team up the pitch, be the team that's on the attack the entire game. And I didn't see that. The reason why I say it's not a bad sign, and I think Liverpool are still okay, is because I think that Slot is learning on the job, right? At the end of the day, like he's new in the league. He's had a fantastic start. Only one loss in 13 games. That's amazing. And it can only get better. And so far, he's shown to be a manager. And these are my favorite brands of managers. A manager that just does the most common sense thing, right? There's whatever you would have dreamt of the night before as your starting 11 is probably the same starting 11 that he'll go with. Whatever sub that you're thinking he should make is probably the sub that he will make. And sometimes it seems like that's not that impressive. In the era of playing Maserati at the 10, in the era of bringing on Richarlison and taking off Madison, trust me, a manager that just does the common sense thing is amazing. Sometimes that's all you really need to do as a manager. The rest is on motivation and obviously moments within the game. So why I don't think is a bad sign is he's shown the ability to learn on the job. He's shown the ability to make the most common sense decisions. And I think at the end of the day, you haven't suffered for any of these bad performances. We're talking about 4 points out of 6, going away from home to a Big Six side and playing at home to one of the more informed teams on the season. So is he going to take that? 1,000% he's going to take that. And as long as the performances continue to improve, I feel like you can only gain confidence from this.
Yeah, absolutely. The Adams, let me come to you. Do you have anything to add to Uzo on Liverpool?
So not really Liverpool, but we haven't talked about Saka the whole time we talked about Arsenal, and he had an amazing game today. He was captain today, right? I think, or maybe not, but he had, and this is one player that people like to flog. Another player that I felt like did well, and I don't think Arsenal fans, give him the credit that he deserves, is Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey, playing out of position today against Diaz, who was awful today, by the way, awful. And yeah, he did okay in that position. I was surprised to see him start there. I thought they would have gone with maybe Zinchenko on the left, but for obvious reasons they didn't want to do that. But Liverpool, like Uzo was saying, I think I caught the post game interview with Van Dijk, and they asked him if it was a good result. He struggled to kind of like get that off at first because. I mean, like a team that's trying to win the title, obviously you don't want to be dropping points, and with that type of performance. But at the same time, you're playing Arsenal, right, at the Emirates, and Arsenal, they hardly drop points there, so it was a difficult one to say for Liverpool. They didn't play too well. I felt, like I said, I felt like Arsenal should have easily won that game. Uzo said, they had, some injuries during the game. That makes sense. But I just felt like Liverpool were there for the taking ever since the game started. First half, it felt like Arsenal controlled the game. Second half, obviously levels dropped a bit, but Liverpool were poor. And against Chelsea as well, I saw a team that were beatable. it felt like they were there. Like we were not, we're not that team yet. We're not that team yet. We're still lacking a few things. This defensively, we're not solid. We had some, bozo moment at the back, and you guys scored 2 goals. But just last 2 games, seeing Liverpool, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I respect them, but I just feel like maybe I must have respected them too much. They don't look like a team that is absolutely going to win the league or absolutely going to contend for the league. It just feels like very. We said that too last season. At times where Liverpool were hanging on in games, and it just felt like, this team is not there yet. There's just something about this team. There's something suspect about this team. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll find out. So I still feel that way. Obviously, it's a new coach. That is bound to happen, but I just feel like there's just something there, and the team very soon. I think we will find out what the team really is.
Fair point. Yeah, just my own final word on Liverpool is, yeah, I think I've sort of agreed with majority of what you guys have said. I think I like this manager. I think in a way, in terms of his in-game management, I think I prefer some of his decisions to the ones Klopp have made or Klopp made during his time in Liverpool. I just feel like the commentators were saying today before the game, Liverpool this season in the Premier League aggregate score of, I think, or this season 26-5. So we've just let in about 5 goals in 13 games. I think coming into the game as well, we had the best defensive record as well. And there's something that a lot of, because as a fan, you listen to a lot of Liverpool FC, Liverpool fan shows, and there's this talk that, yeah, we might not be controlling games, but it seems that we're a bit harder to beat this season. Like, I don't know. I know you're watching the game and it feels like, oh, Arsenal or even during the midweek, Leipzig in the Champions League, like it looked like, oh, they were going to score at some point, but at the end of the day, they didn't score. We ended up winning that game. So it just feels like there's a bit more control. And like to your point, Adams, where you said, yeah, from what you were saying, it's just like at some point in the season, Liverpool are going to fall off. And then last season, I remember it was until like maybe March or so, or even April, we're even still leading until we finally just fell off. But I just feel if we continue this approach and maybe if the players take on board more of Slot's approach this time, I think we'll be thereabout. I think we might even be better than the way we were last season. I just feel like this coach has more control. Like he has in terms of like some people. I don't know how to sort of place it, but I just feel like we're in a better place than we were last season. I feel like we'll be there again this time, and if the coach just sticks to what he's been doing so far, I think we'll be there till that final day. Yeah, bold prediction, but I think we're going to be there in terms of challenging for the title. Right. Okay. That's Liverpool and Arsenal chat done with. Let's move over now to a team that was victorious this weekend. The team from the west side of London. The team that calls home Stamford Bridge, Chelsea. Chelsea's Chelsea were back to winning ways. I can see some sort of broad smile coming in from the blue man.
Thank you for the kind words.
Yes. Before I come to you, the Adams, and I'll have to say props. I wasn't here last week. It was Chelsea versus Liverpool last week, and though Chelsea lost the game, and just like Uzo has pointed out, Chelsea played well. A lot of their fans came out of that game feeling like, yeah, Chelsea's on the up. Even when you listen to pundits, they were like, yeah, props to Chelsea. Even my manager and his plot were like, yeah, this Chelsea team played better than us. In fact, many people were laughing at them during the start of the season. Oh, they signed 100 players. How are they going to fix them in? And right now, they have good players that, yeah, you could say, yeah, this team, they'll be thereabouts, Top 4, some might even say, who knows? They're not far away from challenging, but we'll see. But in terms of that, I'll give Chelsea their props. And then for the game today, yeah, luckily for us in the UK, that was the game on TV, and I saw the game and I was like, yeah, Chelsea. For some parts of the game, I would say majority of the game, Chelsea were the better side. There were still parts of the game where you were like, and the commentators sort of acknowledged it that, yeah, Chelsea sort of give their opponents that one chance. Like, yeah, they're not killing them off with the chances they create. And then the back door is sort of open. The opponents can sneak in and then maybe snatch a draw or snatch a surprise victory. So that is still there from what I've seen. But Adams, let me come to you as a Chelsea fan in the house. What have you made of your season so far? What did you make of the game today? And yeah, Cole Palmer as well. Touch on him.
Yeah, it's been great so far. I like to say that the conference league actually helps us a lot, right? To have that competition where you can rotate your whole 11, even after losing a game, you're almost certain that whoever comes in is going to perform and you'll be able to win a game. So let me start from the Panathinaikos game. The Panathinaikos game, it was you saw guys making a case to get into the starting 11, right? And that's a good way to showcase themselves to say, you know what, I deserve to start. And once you start on the weekend and you don't do too well, your position is under threat. We saw Sancho didn't have a great game at Anfield. Immediately, guys like Modric, guys like Neto was taking a claim to start the game, and yeah, he opted to start with Neto, which was interesting on the left hand side, and immediately we saw why. He's a different player to Sancho. He doesn't necessarily want the ball to fit. He likes to run into space, and you see the first goal for Jackson. It was exactly that, and what a pass from Palmer too, and
Pre-assist.
yeah, yeah, that was an incredible pass. And one player that I'm just very very happy for this season is Jackson. Like he just feels like we saw the player in there last season. Like those of us that watch Chelsea closely, we saw that he had some parts to his game. We knew that
Yeah.
what, this guy is not that bad. He's not as
You
bad
know,
as we make him to
yeah.
be. And
Remember the hat trick against Spurs?
exactly. And and we saw what he did today in this game. He's so comfortable to drop so deep, like, and he puts the defense into a lot of trouble. They don't know if they should track him all the way back. They don't know if they should let him be. And today he was just picking them apart. He was coming into midfield. He can receive the ball on a half turn. He's able to turn with the ball. He's able to drop the pass to either Neto or Palmer. He just creates a lot of space and opportunities for the rest of the players. And I'm also very happy for Lavia and Rich James. Man, Rich James, man, like, the ability is there. Like, you cannot even say, like, the ability is there for sure. The only question is, can he remain fit? Today
That's
he played as a left-sided center back or left back, whatever new term they have for those roles, and he looked at home. And it's the first time I'm seeing him play. He played like he's played there for years. It was really good to see him get through 90 minutes. Lavia, our coach kind of hinted on it too. That we need some physicality in midfield. We need balance, especially with Palmer having the free role. So we said that Enzo dropped to the bench. A lot of people might not be happy with that, but Lavia and Caicedo, man, Lavia just needs to stay fit. What a talent that guy is. They bust the midfield, and like you said, they're just parts of our game where, at times, you see some sequence of plays and you go, wow, this is insane, this is crazy. At
yeah,
times, again, you see some things and you're like, man, this is schoolboy. Like, what are we doing here? Especially our defending and
yeah,
maybe our goalkeeper passing out the back. It just leaves you, like, you just feel like they might score.
yeah,
There's something in there. And look, we could have easily drawn that game.
yeah.
Remember
There,
that
there was yeah, where he had even dribbled Sanchez. I
he
don't
had,
know what he was thinking.
he could have just easily squared that ball and be 2
But
2.
yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, we still have those lapses, and it's very evident that maybe we don't have the same. Or no, I'm probably being too harsh because Fofana was out for what, a whole year, so it'll take him a lot of time to get up to speed. But just maybe we don't have the same level of talent we have in defense like we have in attack. That might be what we might need to work on. It. Of course, the goalkeeping situation, that is going to cost us some points this season. Like, we'll draw some game and we'll lose some games just because of Sanchez. So yeah,
yeah,
those are like the few things. But Stamford Bridge is working again. It's looking like a fortress. It's looking like, if you come to Stamford Bridge, we know one thing for sure: we're going to score goals. Now
yeah.
it now remains if you can outscore us, but we're definitely going to score goals at Stamford Bridge. So yeah, it was a good game. I like that. Maresca is able tweak things based on the games. Today he brought in Neto, brought in Lavia, played Rhys James as a left-sided centre back. And the funny thing is, Cucurella did nothing wrong. Like he's been
Yeah.
outstanding all season, and unfortunately he was dropped. So that's what you
Yeah.
get when you have a lot of quality players. So yeah, I'm excited. It's just 9 games in. We have a big game against Manchester United. I hate to play them now
No,
because it's like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
we'll
I
get
want
to
to say,
that.
yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, before we'll get
Yeah,
to that. Yeah. Uzo, before I bring you in on Chelsea, I'll just like Adams mentioned, Rhys James, man, what a talent, As in last week at Anfield, he came back after like how long was he out for a true injury, and he looked like he was never away. I remember he was marking Gakpo. Gakpo did not have a sniff. Like he couldn't. There was no every one-on-one battle. It was like Rhys James was winning it. And I know I've said it sometime. Like some people laughed at me, but I've said it that this guy and Kyle Walker. I don't know. I think that debate is still there. Like if only he was fit enough, like he's been someone that stays fit. That discussion will be there. But I feel like this guy is defensively. There's no right back in the league, even in world football. I might as go as far as saying world football, but this guy is so much. I think there was a time Madrid were even looking at him. Adams, I think if I'm
yeah.
correct, there was a time they were like sniffing at him. Look at this guy. So yeah, great talent. Yeah. So let me bring you in. I know we've said it last season. Chelsea have the talent. Like people might say, oh, they spent a lot of money, they bought a lot of players, but you can see that, yeah, they bought well in some places. Cole Palmer. It looks like Jackson signing is coming off as well. Who else? Maybe we can put in a word for
Caicedo,
Neto.
man, Caicedo as well.
Caicedo, Lavia. They're looking like that midfield is looking like it's going to be dominating most of the games they play in. So right now, exciting times for Chelsea fans. After being in sort of like the doldrums for majority of the last how many years now, they look like Chelsea's coming back. I'm gonna come and ask. I'm going to come back to Uzo, to Adams and ask him a very interesting question. But yeah, Uzo, let me get your take first.
Yeah, I'll again. I have to save the platform, as usual. But
Oh no.
listen, it's all good. Everything's great with Chelsea. I don't have any qualms with Chelsea, but I'm gonna pump the brakes on the Rhys James talks because this happens every year. It literally death taxes Rhys James 2-game span and then he's injured again. I'm not interested in Rhys James. And honestly, I think Chelsea fans are doing the rest of the team a disservice when they keep having this James conversation. The team has been playing well. A lot of players have improved. A lot of players deserve their flowers, and a lot of players died on the line for this to be possible. A lot of players went through the bad stretches. They put in the work. They were the ones receiving all the abuse. They were the ones getting booed in their own ground. They were the ones having to go clap away fans when they had loss after loss after loss, bad decision after bad decision, injury after injury. This guy doesn't get to walk in as the captain of the team, by the way. He doesn't get to walk back in because and honestly, I'm not one to hold injuries against the player. But in his case, and in the case of Luke Shaw, I've not seen any effort on the part of the player to rework their own physical look in order to be less susceptible to injuries. And I'm not saying that I blame every injury on Rhys James, but I need to see some effort on the part of the player where I can say, you know what, this guy has revamped his entire diet. This guy has revamped his entire training regimen. This guy looks way more fit. He's slimmer. He's more agile, whatever. He's doing his part to avoid injuries. There was a time where Harry Kane couldn't complete a single season. The same ankle injury over and over and over again. And there was a summer where he literally revamped everything about his training and and he never had another ankle injury after that. So for me, I want to see the player put in some effort. And then I want to see the captain of the football club at least work on his availability for the team. And the thing is, it's not just the injuries, right? There's also the suspensions.
We won against Newcastle.
No, hold on.
Talking about the Newcastle game. What are you doing?
This wasn't about you, Adams. It was about something that
No, but I'm just like, there's no reason. Like, Rhys James didn't get injured in this game.
Again,
he didn't get a red card in this game.
Again,
he played well. So let's talk about that. So what are we doing?
Again, I have to save the platform.
Why
right?
can't? How are you saving the platform?
I'm going to talk about Chelsea. I will. But I need us to dead the Reece James narrative. Like, just let him put together 9 games of consistently being available. I don't even need him to perform well. Consistently being available, and then we can revisit the discussion. That's the only. He got a red card while on the bench, while injured. Like, what? This is the captain of the. Listen, he has a lot of work to get back in the good. I was saying the thing about this being a courthouse. There are some repeat offenders. He's one of them. You don't get credit for good behavior for 1 or 2 games. You need a consistent run of good behavior to completely flip your narrative.
But come on, but based on how long he's been out, at least we can still say, yeah, the 2 games we've seen him back, he has been great.
It's never been a question of ability. Listen, if Anthony comes back and plays well, I'll be the first one to clap. Because it's not about injuries with him. He's hurt right now, but if he comes back and he plays well, it's going to be more shocking that he's playing well than the fact that he's not injured. There are certain players where you have to address the pain point. The pain point with Reece James has never been about his ability. We know the guy can play. Can you stay on the pitch? Whether that be suspensions, whether that be injuries, I'm saying that's something that we table for later. I'm not giving him any credit right now. And I think it's particularly unfair to the rest of the players who have been available why is Reece James being mentioned? I like the fact that when I don't care about his left-sided center back or not. Listen, Palmer is doing the business. Nico is doing the business.
No, you're being a bit disgenerous there because he had a good game. So what are we going to do? I said, we can't see you until you play 20 games. He had a good game. And that's what we're saying.
And so Pius comes and tells me,
I get that part. I get the Pius
Walker, and he's going to go to Real Madrid.
I get that part.
I get that part. I'm done.
That part about
now let's get to the Chelsea conversation because we spent way too long. This is my problem.
That's my opinion. Come on. That's my opinion.
And I'm saving the platform. It's his opinion. But listen, I just want people to know when they watch the podcast, I want them to not think that because I'm sitting here, I agree with all the randomness that's going on. I have to make sure that they know that there's somebody here that has common sense and can look at these things with complete objectivity. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Reece James, credit to him. He went to he was on the pitch. The Chelsea conversation for me, the Chelsea conversation for me is about Enzo Maresca and the job that he's doing as a manager. And this started from the summer when he was able to identify which set of players am I going to be working with? That's been a challenge for every Chelsea manager so far. The one thing we've always been saying is, where did the whole jokes of where they're going to change come from? It's too many players. Literally, you honestly, I think you can go on tour to Chelsea, right? You know, when you tour the dressing room, they show you the trophies in it. If you have dreads, you can get lost and they'll think you're a player. They'll just usher you in, and next thing you know, you're sitting on the bench. The job that he's done, the job that Maresca has done is he's made, again, the team being able to band together behind a purpose starts from creating that brotherhood. And part of creating that brotherhood is knowing who's in the trenches with you. Whether they're injured, suspended, whatever, if you know these are the 22, 23, however many, right, that are in the flow of things, these are the guys that are going to be on the pitch week in, week out. It helps to start to create that bond. It's different when a guy's here and the next day he's at Strasbourg. A guy's here the next day he's in Brazil. A guy's here the next day he's in what's the other team that they love to loan to? Any of these teams. And then the next day he's back. You don't know. Malang Sarr was on the team. They didn't even know the guy's name. They didn't know the guy had a number. He was still cashing his check. So my thing is, one thing that he's done that's been very impressive, he has identified who's a Chelsea player. And now I can look at this. I can look at the squad. It's easy now to predict what the Chelsea 15 to 20 will be. Yeah. Maybe not the starting 11, but at least you know who the 15 to 20 are going to be. Who's going to be more likely to come off the bench? Who's playing in the Conference League? To me, that's been the most important thing for their success. And secondly, the players deserve a lot of credit. Guys like Palmer, again, Palmer's coming into his second season. He's supposed to have been figured out by now. He's still doing the business. This is a guy that came in at, 20 years old, wasn't really one of the more celebrated signings, was a last-minute panic deal, came into the side, has been consistent ever since, has given them a platform to be successful because you need that kind of player to build your team around. That's what gives you the ability to be successful. So credit to him. Credit to Nico. Nico came into his – listen, I had Nico stocks when I saw him in preseason. When I saw his partnership with Nkunku, I was like, you know what? This guy's a baller. This guy looks like he's going to be one of those signings. He's right in that price range where you always have success. When you buy within that 25 to like 45 mil range,
Yeah.
it's such a sweet spot because they come without the pressure, they come with the right amount of effort and work ethic, and they find a way to flip the narrative. Now, Nico had a disastrous first season, not even from a productive standpoint, just from an eye test standpoint. It just felt like he was always doing rubbish. But you looked at the end of the season, and you were like, he didn't do too bad. It was a nice goal tally. He had some good performances. He had the hat trick against 9-man Spurs, but at the end of the day, like he had different performances where you could like say maybe there's a player in there. So I agree with Adams there. This season, however, he's completely earned all of the conversation. I think down to the eye test, to the production, to the fact that he's been consistent, the confidence. I call the confidence irrational. But listen, whatever works, if you continue to perform like this, you're absolutely going to get all the credit that you deserve. So for me, I think Chelsea are doing a great job. The manager's doing a fantastic job. A lot of people are worried about moments where they could have lost, should have lost. Listen, based on the way last season went, all the shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm not hearing any of it. I'm only hearing results because last season there was a lot of shouldas, there was a lot of couldas, there was a lot of wouldas, and there was not enough of done. And today we're sitting here. Chelsea's in and around the title conversation. They're firmly within the top 4 conversation. They're looking like the prohibitive favorites to win the Conference League, which they should be. They should be, but they're performing like it. And at the end of the day, once you can meet expectations, that's all we've been asking for Chelsea, meet expectations. And we're going to have conversations about Spurs and United, and that's where the whole thing of a team meeting expectations does deserve to be praised because not everybody's meeting their expectations. And so credit to Chelsea, but allow the regime talks, okay? Allow it. Allow it.
All right. Noted. I'm sorry.
Palmer.
Thanks, Uzo, for saving.
No. Palmer definitely deserves all the credit. He does.
Yeah.
No, I said Kalma. Kalma was
Kalma. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Uzo. You're always on. That's why we have you here to save our platform.
Always honest. Always on. The viewers know. I keep. If not for me, Bruno would have been here. He would have been on the thumbnail. They would have been saying best player in the league. Thankfully, somebody had the foresight, and now look, it's paying off.
Okay. Diana, let me come back to you right now as a Chelsea fan, right? So a lot of positive vibes coming from Chelsea. I think one of the questions I want to ask you is in terms of your prediction as to what Chelsea can achieve at the start of the season, and then based on like maybe the 9 games in the Premier League plus Conference League and other games that you've seen, has it been enough for you to change your stance to say, I think we might achieve higher than what I thought we'll achieve, right?
No. I think it still has to be Champions League, which is going to be very difficult with teams like Aston Villa and Spurs are still going to be in the conversation as well. So it's always been qualified for a Champions League, and now we absolutely need to be at the Champions League next season. So it still remains the same. We played Liverpool. We see that we're not quite there yet in terms of the levels. That is expected to challenge for the league. We're not even close to that. So it still has to be Champions League.
Champions League. Okay. And then the other question I want to ask you is in terms of, I know the time we had the discussion some weeks back, and you mentioned that, Chelsea has always been, that sort of club that was always winning trophies, FA Cups of the Drogba years, Mourinho years. So you're looking at it now, this coming midweek, we're back to Carabao Cup action, right? Newcastle away. Exactly. And then you're looking at that. I know I saw some Chelsea fans like on Twitter online saying, today's game was the more important one, right? They don't mind losing out that one. Do you mind losing out on that one?
I do. I do mind it. Yeah.
So it was to give you an option to say this game or that game.
Oh man, I'll definitely pick the Premier League game.
Yeah.
I'll pick the Premier League game. But we came so close last season to winning the EFL Cup, and so I just feel like we need to win it this year because we came so close.
Yeah, so Maresca has to go with strong 11, no rotating, no Felix.
Oh no, yeah, he definitely has to rotate. Those guys are, good enough to play a Newcastle team in EFL Cup. Those guys are, they should be Premier League starters, right? Joao Felix, Sancho, Modric, Nkunku, Cucurella didn't get a lot of minutes today, so he probably plays. These guys are, Premier League caliber players, so I have no qualms with them starting the game on when is it? Is it
On Wednesday, on Wednesday, yeah,
Wednesday? Yeah,
Wednesday, yeah, on Wednesday. Okay, so fair enough. Adams, Chelsea's target. Chelsea should target the Carabao Cup.
absolutely,
Interesting.
man. We need to win
Go
something.
go all out. Okay, and then after that, it's Manchester United away next weekend.
Yeah, man. Like, look, Manchester United is one team that I hate losing to, but I just feel like it's the wrong time to face them, in my own opinion, because they're about to hit rock bottom, right? So it's almost like
Yeah.
they have a lot to lose if they don't win that game or if they don't get a result from that game. And for us, it's just another game, right? We don't have that pressure on us. It feels like the coach. This might be the telling game for the coach if he stays at the job. So, like, you don't want those other narratives. You don't want all those other talking points. You don't want extra motivation for your opponents. But at the end of the day, man, this Manchester United team has been poor. We need to do the business, but I know it's going to be more than a game for them. They are going to be very, very motivated to face us next Sunday.
Interesting. We'll see. And finally, on Chelsea, Adams, your prediction for the midweek game against Newcastle.
Oh man, I think that game ends 2-1 again. 2-1.
In favor of Chelsea, right? So Chelsea
Yeah.
through to the quarterfinals. We'll see how that goes. Good luck to you, to Chelsea. All right. Let's turn our attention then to Spurs this weekend. Spurs Spurs lost this weekend. After pulling some sort of good results, their last few games, I think they've been winning, but somehow they lost the game today. I think they lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace away from home. Yeah, another away defeat for Tottenham. I remember the last away game. I think they lost away to Brighton as well, 2-0 up, and then losing 3-2, and then that's where the Spursy sort of term came back again, and then you have people like Uzo, Spurs fans saying, yeah, just as his caption says, it's just who we are, mates. Uzo, so let me get your take on the game today. How did the game unfold? What happened? What did the coach get wrong, or was it just a case of the players didn't take their chances?
So I actually woke up late for this game. Usually that's a bad sign for me because I've been sort of the good luck charm for this team when I watch games. So I was very disappointed with myself. So I have to first of all hold my hands up and say I let the team down today. I didn't give them the positive charm that they need, the boost that they need to approach this game. But all banter aside, yeah, just a bad game. Bad game. There's no two ways around it. It just it's one of those games where like the fact that we have it in us to perform like that. I was saying this during the Liverpool segment. Bad game, bad sign. It's a bad sign, right? This is the flip side of that. Is the fact that you have this kind of game within you is a very, very worrying sign for your ambitions going into the season. And we were addressing the fact that it's still early in the season, even though it doesn't feel like it because there've been so many games played in other competitions. The fact that we are still learning about what we should be like going for this season, that's a bad sign for it. Because whatever your expectations were as a Spurs fan, if you were looking top four, if you were looking top six, if you were looking at third place, if you were looking at being in and around the dark horse conversation for the title, whatever crazy expectations you could have and should have had, I feel like games like this give you a cause for pause. Even if you were a Spurs fan like me, who I predicted us to be fifth, I wanted maybe 4 to 6 range, and I wanted us to challenge for any of the 3 trophies that we're in. It's still a bad sign for me because, and I was saying this in the Spurs chat, the team just cannot play difficult games. And that's the most worrying thing if you're a fan of any team that expects to win anything, because winning stuff is difficult. Like I look through, you can think of any anyone that's won anything, right, in recent memory. Maybe besides, I wouldn't even say besides the United Carabao Cup, because the Carabao Cup was a bit of a fluky run, but they still had to beat Newcastle in the final, right? So it wasn't like it was a bad team that they played in front. But the run up until the final was a little bit fluky, if we're being honest. But usually to win anything, you have to experience moments of difficulty. And with this team, we just cannot win the difficult games. We cannot draw the difficult games. We always lose the difficult games. And Crystal Palace shouldn't have been a difficult game. But again, they were fighting for their lives. They have no wins on the season. They're at home to a London team. Teams like that will always turn
I
up.
hate any team.
And the least that they'll give their fans on that kind of day is they'll fight. And they came in and they were ready to fight. And because they know, like, you lose a game like this, they didn't know what their expectations are for the season. It's a relegation scrap. So this was kind of a moment for them to see if they can turn their season around. And I feel like in comes Dr. Tottenham. And we came and we gave them everything that they wanted. We were soft, we were unimpressive, we were terrible technically, and they were deserving winners. They weren't just deserving winners, they should have won by more. And I feel like we were the beneficiaries of some terrible refereeing decisions. I think they should have had a penalty. They could have had we should have had a guy sent off. I think Van der Ven pulls back an attacker that's through on goal with absolutely nobody in front of him. So if we're keeping the same consistency of Saliba getting sent off last week, he should have 1,000% been sent off.
Van der Ven is fast though. You could have caught up with him.
He did catch up with him and he pulled him back. So it's silly. He's the one who fouled. It's not like he was the other defender. He's the one who fouled. And this is the same thing I said about Saliba last week, right? Because I thought the Saliba red card was a fully deserving red. Saliba's fast. He's not only is he fast, Evan Nilsson, he ain't the most rapid striker that's out there. You can catch up to him. You can boss him off the ball. And you also have one of the best 1v1 goalkeepers in the league. We have one of the best shot stopping goalkeepers in the league, in my opinion. He's terrible in crosses, but when it comes to 1v1 shot stopping, there's nobody I trust more. I mean, there's people I trust Allison more, of course, but I'm okay with what we have when it comes to shot stopping. So the fact that Van der Ven, with all his pace, is even pulling him back, it just shows you the mentality of the team. They do these brain dead decisions, just like it's almost like they just lose their head for 5 or 6 seconds during every game. But this game was completely on every single player. The coaching was awful. The in-game management was absolutely diabolical. And it was a fully deserving loss. And last time we lost to Brighton, I said it was the worst performance I've seen all season. This is now the worst performance that I've seen all season. And It's always a bad sign when you're going week in, week out, and you're saying, they went even lower than I thought we could. So there's not much I can really take from this game. There's no positives. Nobody comes out with their head held high.
How did Moore do? I saw his name on the team sheet. I was excited.
Mickey Moore, the name of Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch him because by the time I turned into the game, we were out of the game, and then he got dragged off like 10 minutes later. But from the timeline, it didn't look like he was particularly effective. But this is not a game that I judge him on. The whole team was bad.
Yeah.
We had no creativity. There was nobody to progress the ball. We were getting bumped in midfield. This is a game that I look at guys like Bissouma for, and I've not been fooled by Bissouma. Everybody knows this. I've been very consistent on this guy. He is not good enough for a top 6 side, in my opinion. His level is Brighton. And honestly, that's even being just strict because Brighton, in my opinion, have a better midfielder than him. His level is like Crystal Palace, Forest, guys that are going to fight. All he knows how to do is progress the ball from deep positions by dribbling. That's the only specialty he has. He can't defend, he can't mark, he can't tackle. He's not a particularly great finisher, even though he's had 2 goals in recent memories. His first 2 goals for Spurs. I'm supposed to be fooled by that. He's not a good midfielder when it comes to all phases. He can't pass the ball. So every time I see this guy on the team sheet, and the fact that this manager is so insistent on trying to build the midfield around him, I always feel like we're in for it. We need more technically secure midfielders. Guys like Bentancur should be on the team sheet every single week. And the fact that he's benching him, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then we're chasing the game. You take off Madison, you take off Kulusevski, and you bring on Richarlison and Verna. This is why I say common sense. When your manager displays common sense, it is a thing of beauty. And the one thing that I can say from Ange since in his entire tenure here, he's never once displayed common sense. Now, I've given him his credit. I've been off his back in recent memory, and I still think he can do things here. Common sense not his biggest strength at all. I mean, this is the same guy with 9 men that was playing a high line on the midfield. So it's not like he's particularly been like, oh, I'm the king of common sense. But even the most like just random and like basic decisions he cannot make.
In the words of Ange, man, it's who we are, mate. It's who we are.
It is who we are. And I think we've now had more than enough evidence to say this is who Spurs are, right? We're a soft team. On a nice afternoon out, at home, playing Forest. That's the Forest have started the season very well. Playing Ipswich, playing Bournemouth sometimes. Brentford can be even difficult. Playing some of the doldrums of the league.
Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton. There you go, Southampton. Leicester, if we're home, not at their home. We can look like one of the best teams in the world. Absolutely. We can dominate possession. We can have chance after chance. But the moment the game becomes even slightly difficult, we just don't have the mentality. We don't have the bottle for it. And I'm also looking at a guy like Romero. He's not going to escape. He was the captain of the side again. He was also the captain of the side against Brighton. And those are 2 games that he's captained the team. And we look absolutely terrible mentally. So I'm looking at him as someone, World Cup winner, whatever. People have been yelling to give him the arms band. Listen, he's not that great a captain either, because whatever happens as the captain from a mental perspective on your watch is on you. You're the one to get the boys out there. You're the one to get them to be focused and driven and fighting. And he hasn't been any of those things. So, yeah, absolutely 0 out of 10 today from Spurs. No excuses.
Yeah, sorry, Uzo, and I'm sorry, I don't have any sort of good news to give you. More bad news. As Ten Hag was like, yeah, the victory again for you guys against Manchester United does not count because of the red card. That wasn't what I thought.
I think there's a compilation out there where he thought that please was thank you, so he would end every press conference with please. Like he'd be like, please. And so I still don't think he fully has control of the English language. I think in his mind, he thinks that the result got overturned. No, Ten Hag, the red card got overturned. We are still in possession of the 3 points. But you know what? Whatever narrative helps you sleep at night, that's all good. This is the same guy that cried about the Arsenal decision. This is
going to be the new one.
He's going to talk about this Spurs decision for the rest of the season. But honestly, I think United got shafted today as well. And I think they've been on the reception of some poor decisions. But at the end of the day, like,
man, long may it continue, man. Like, bro. Next week, whoever the ref is going to be, man, I need the most dubious PK ever. I bet.
All right, guys. All right, we'll come to Manchester United shortly. Uzo, just before we move away from Spurs, right? One of the questions I have for you is, so I think we've seen Ange this season say, mates, I always win things in my second season. So, Spurs are still in the Carabao Cup. Wednesday nights, you host Manchester City.
Man City,
and I think Tottenham have a good record at home against Man City. So, based on that, I'm sure you're expecting a victory.
Man, I want to see some Mickey Moore, man. Mickey Moore and what's the name of this other dude? The Swedish one.
Kulusevski
Begval.
Honestly, I think so. Pep has been a bit confusing. He said that competition doesn't count. Like, he literally said that word for word. He was like, we don't care about that competition. And I'm like,
Take Pep.
I mean, of course, this is a master manipulator. So he can easily name his strongest side of the season in that fixture. Just to do it, because he knows he can then go to the Premier League fixture and play his weakest side and still win anyway. So I don't know what to expect from a lineup perspective. A loss to City is nothing to be ashamed of. Everyone in this league knows that. We need this cup badly. We're looking good in Europa, and that's been
Chelsea.
I think Chelsea are fine. I think Chelsea are fine.
Now we need that cup too. We need it as well.
Listen, I think Chelsea are fine. When you think of where Chelsea are, right, in terms of their trophy count, they're not hurting for a Carabao Cup. You know what I mean? And honestly, with the way they've played this season, for one, they already have one trophy in the bag. They're going to win the Conference League. Like, let's stop kidding. If you go to the bookies right now and you say, I want Chelsea to win the Conference League, they'll tell you to drop your house and two of your kids to get $1 back. It is not a good bet. Chelsea is going to win the Conference League. So I think when you think of like, okay, and where the Conference League is a little weird in terms of other trophies of equal pedigree, right? Trophies like the Carabao, Community Shield, etc., that are on the lower tier of they're not majors. The Conference League happens at the end of the season, so it feels like a major. You get to like, you know what I mean? Like the season is almost over. All you see is armpit and blue ribbons. It can give you the illusion of, I don't know. And then also, Chelsea will be the first team in Europe to complete all 3 European trophies because obviously the Conference League is relatively new. So they can take some positives from that. We need the Carabao Cup. We need it badly. So if we lose to City, especially following this kind of period where we've had 2 losses in the last 3, we haven't really had a great performance in quite some time. I feel like it can get toxic really fast. And especially if City end up resting players and we still lose at home,
it's going to be toxic. Yeah,
it won't be looking good. On the opposite side, if we win that game, it'll be a huge boost.
I think from what I know about Spurs, I didn't see this game, but it always feels like they know how to bounce back at the right time. When people are like, nah, it's over for Spurs, there's nothing, and then you just see they just manage a win somewhere and cook something up. So that might happen against City midweek.
We'll see. Finally, Uzo, just quick prediction quickly. And so quick question. Same thing I asked Adams, I'm going to ask you. In terms of what you predicted at the start of the season and based on what you've seen so far from Spurs, do you think you would need to change your prediction? And do you think Spurs can finish higher than Chelsea?
I don't remember how I had us 5th, but who did I have 4th?
No, I think you had Spurs 4th and Chelsea 5th or something.
Oh yeah, I backed my boys, right? I said I expected us to finish 5th, but I have to back my boys to get 4th place. I would flip that now. I think Chelsea comfortably get 4th and we get 5th. And honestly, I think Chelsea should be looking higher than 4th. I've been the guy banging on the $1 billion train. I'm not even trying to do one of those things. And I hated the whole dark horse for 4th because let's be honest. They're not dark horses for 4th place in the league.
Wow. So if they're going to go aim higher for 4th, then somebody in Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal should drop for them.
I think right now all 3 of those things are vulnerable for different reasons. I think at the end of the day, Liverpool has shown that. No, hold on. Yeah, no. Can I go through it just real quickly? Okay. I think Liverpool have shown that they're susceptible. They're not unbeatable. I think Adam said he left Anfield feeling like you're beatable. So of course, if you come to Stamford Bridge, I wouldn't be saying Liverpool are the favorites for that game. So it's going to be about how you get results against the other 18 teams in the league. And for me, I think Chelsea's attack is going to get them more points over the course of the season than Liverpool's kind of pragmatic approach. And at the end of the day, Liverpool are 1 or 2 bad results away from confidence being down and us really seeing what the coach is about. So if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm not looking at Liverpool as we can't catch them. They're leagues above us. You know what I'm saying? Because they're kind of in the same boat. And you've just played them, and you played them kind of close. Arsenal are dealing with a massive injury crisis. I think Odegaard is going to be on the way back, obviously. I don't know what the Calafiori injury is looking like. But they also have a creative issue. We've seen how they are without Saka. If Saka is to go on 2 or 3 games, maybe he's not available or whatever, we can see that they're susceptible to dropping points.
Yeah.
City, they've lost Rodri for the entire season. They're still dealing with the De Bruyne injury. I think.
Don't even talk about City. It's
no,
now I have to save the platform.
No. What I'm saying is I'm playing the odds. Of all 3 of those teams, I still have City winning the league. You guys, when Roger did his ACL, we came on the podcast and Pies asked me, "Are you changing your pick?" I'm like, "No," because the bald man is the star, and as long as he's there, nothing can happen except this thing that you expect.
Anything can happen.
Anything cannot happen.
Anything cannot happen. Only the thing that can happen. But when I'm looking at all 3 teams having like vulnerabilities, there's every chance that Chelsea can nick one of them at least, right? If it's going to be on Chelsea to keep performing the way that they are, but I'm saying, why not set your sights a bit higher than 4th anyway? You know what I mean? Yeah. Because in my opinion, they've been by far and away in the 4 best teams of the season currently. And you can argue they've been 3rd. I put them above Arsenal right now in terms of performances. Wow. So yeah, I would flip my prediction. I'd say
What do you think
Chelsea
about
and then
Aston Villa though?
Villa have been quietly going about their business, but they haven't been convincing in terms of performances. But they found a way to get. Listen, one day we're gonna have to talk about Unai Emery, and he's gonna have to get his full flowers. What he is doing is not just unpredictable or unimaginable. It is downright. We're looking at somebody earning a statue in our own lifetime. Because I'm sorry, as a Villa fan, how are you not building this guy a statue?
I'm telling you, man. That
What he's
victory,
doing is insane, bro. I think he's at the top of the the Champions League
League, yeah. They beat Bayern at home as well.
What?
They beat Bayern and somebody else.
Bologna, they beat Bologna at home as well.
Listen,
yeah.
If
no, apart from Bologna, I thought they had another big.
No, I think they beat Young Boys.
Okay.
It hasn't been all sweat, but listen, 3 out of 3. I think they haven't conceded.
A
goal yet.
That boy John Duran, or what's his name?
Yeah,
that kid is a problem, man.
Listen, I'm absolutely. Round of applause for it. You want to talk about early prediction for manager of the year for sure, but I don't have Villa in. I don't think they've been a top 4 performing team this season so far. But I think they can absolutely be a conversation for top 4. And honestly, they're gonna finish above us probably. I'd be bumping us down to 6th, 5th, 6th. You know, to me, that's now the new ceiling for us, and that's scary because we're not a team that genuinely performs to our ceiling, anyways. So if we fall down below our ceiling, we're looking at Conference League scraps. So it's nasty stuff out here. Nasty stuff.
Wow, really nasty. Okay, right, guys. Because of time, let's quickly touch on Manchester United, right?
We don't need to touch on those guys. Like
just briefly, mate. Just briefly, mate. Briefly. Yeah, Manchester United, lost this weekend. They won last weekend though. They beat Brentford last weekend, but lost this weekend. A lot of Manchester United fans were sort of angry with how the game panned out. They felt like they created most of the chances, and then they felt like, okay, they should have at least left the game with a draw. But a lot of people arguing about the penalty decision to West Ham. But that's by the way. When you have the chances, you need to take them. Manchester United right now is such a sorry case because everybody knows Manchester United is the biggest club in England, no question. Even as a Liverpool fan, I find it difficult to say, but it's the truth. Right, you need to say the truth. Like Manchester United is
how are you finding that difficult to say?
Of course, there are Liverpool fans that
you think Liverpool is the biggest club in
England. Yeah. Liverpool fans that have that argument that there's an argument to be made.
There's no argument to be made. There's no argument.
Why? Why is there?
What do you mean? Why? You guys have one EPL title, one Premier League title in the last in the Premier League.
But we have the same number. We have the same number of trophies. Okay, we have more Champions League than them,
bro. Let's not even do that. Like it's never been.
Why the argument is like, okay, like in the last maybe the last decade or so, Manchester United have been of course,
not decades, in the last 20, 30 years, Manchester United, the gap has been so crazy that I can't even think of how you think you're a bigger club than them in England. In the last 20,
I mean, but historically speaking, I think they're neck and neck, right?
Yes, that's the thing. Like, it's not like Manchester United are far and over away. That is not the case. Yes,
in Adams' case, he's right to say in the last 30 years, United have been bigger. But in the same way, in the last 10 years, the gap hasn't been close. In the last 10 years, Liverpool have been absolutely clear.
So the thing
absolutely clear.
Right. Yeah.
So the thing is you say Manchester United. So the way it is in terms of like institution, in terms of like the face of English football,
That's what I'm saying. Like Liverpool doesn't even come close.
But in terms of the most successful club, maybe I should phrase it a bit. In terms of like the most successful club in England, English football, there's no way you are putting. There's an argument to be made. In fact, I think the last time I looked at it, maybe Liverpool is just ahead of Manchester United with just one trophy, or the same number of trophies won. So there's no Manchester United are far away now. There's
there's no way you can spin it in terms of like global presence, fans, like
Nah,
the
what?
statue of the club. What are you saying?
Nah,
Manchester United is
nah. No, let's
levels
not
above Liverpool.
let's not go
Levels,
away from
bro.
let's not go away from this. Let's not go away.
Levels.
Let's not
Yeah,
go away from okay.
one club. A lot of Liverpool fans in their lifetime never even only probably saw their team win the Premier League one time. Bro, what are you saying?
But that is not like that's not the barometer to say, oh, this club is bigger than or in terms of like the most successful English club ever. So, but anyway, that's not something that we're discussing today.
That's not what
That's something that a debate that's why I said the debate is always going to rage on. But fine, I'm giving Manchester United their flowers. So right, back to where we are now in terms of today. So like, yeah, Manchester United are like in a bad place. In fact, I saw even a Liverpool fan was like, somebody posted the press Ten Hag post match after the Fenerbahce game in the Europa League, and a Liverpool fan, like someone that even hates Manchester United, was like, "Does this guy even know the club he's managing?" That was off the back of the statement that he said, "Oh, we've had two difficult away Europa League games. It was Fenerbahce.
You know what?
It was Porto."
That statement, man.
And you're like,
maybe Liverpool is actually bigger than them now because.
And you're like, Ten Hag, do you know? I think Liverpool fans are saying, "Does this guy who knows who the club is managing coming out to say, yeah, we came out with a draw in a difficult game against Fenerbahce? You have Osai Samuel."
Hey, respect.
I'm sorry.
Respect,
I'm sorry.
respect.
Bright Osai Samuel.
We have a show called Only Nights, and you're
Yeah,
here.
I'm sorry.
My boy.
I'm sorry. You have Fred, Tadic. Those are the sort of players that run the show for Fenerbahce. And that is a difficult away game that Ten Hag is proud of his players. Well, that's Manchester United. I just I put it out there. Like as a Liverpool fan,
I hate that we're playing them next. Like Uzo was saying, that type. It feels like that Palace game where something has to happen. Like this game is going to determine the course of your season, and you're playing in front of your fans. You're like, it's going to be such a difficult game for us because they have something to prove, right? And Ten Hag doesn't want to lose his job.
Exactly.
And then like that.
And when there's that game that people are saying, "Oh, this is the game that Manchester United lose," Ten Hag, they'll just find a way to win, and Ten Hag stays, and that is what I want. So Chelsea, I'm sorry.
Chelsea, man, look, we have no excuses actually because Manchester United have been terrible. I think if they lose that game, they go down to like 14th or something. Or where are they?
Yeah, something like that, 14, 15, which is crazy. But that is where Manchester United are right now. Also, just to ask you finally before we close, like, are you surprised the Manchester United ownership, the Ineos group, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, have sort of like not done anything about Ten Hag? I'm even surprised.
I'm not surprised. I said this on I don't know who I said it to. I think I might have told this to a United fan, but I think that what happened was I think they already identified their replacement. And I think they had that replacement in the summer. And I think that review period was them trying to pitch the job to said replacement. And I think said replacement was not ready or maybe couldn't be gotten. Whatever the reason was, they didn't get that over the line. I think they then decided to go back to Ten Hag and just ride out the season. The reason why I have that theory is you don't do a review period to keep a manager, end the review period by keeping the manager but not extending him longer than 1 year, so he's still a lame duck manager anyway. Didn't make any sense to me. So usually when you have, especially with managers, this isn't about players. I know Chelsea do the 8-year contract things, but with a manager, you want the manager to be as secure as possible because that undermines his level of authority with the players when they know that he's not guaranteed to be there. If I've got a manager at work who's on a 1-year contract, what do I care what his review of me is? He's going to be gone in a year. So if I don't have to work hard to impress him, I don't have to work hard to make him be pitch me for a position or whatever. I can just do whatever I want because I know this guy's going to be out of there by the end of however many years his contract is. So for me, they absolutely undermine all of his managerial ability by giving him a lame duck contract anyways. And I think the reason why is because they already have his replacement lined up. And I think firing him now, especially when we've seen that they've been doing all this cost-saving mechanisms, wouldn't make any sense. So they have to ride out the season with him because they would have to pay him if they terminate him right now. And his contract is up at the end of the year, so they're just going to let him part ways naturally. But if they're trying to fly on the same jet as Man City, who they went and testified against in the court of law, You think these guys aren't shameless enough to keep the manager in to save even if it's 1 mil? These guys are cheap, man. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Nothing about what is going on at United right now surprises me. I do think the ownership is good, though. I think the ownership is good, but I think they're going to need a lot of time for it to come to fruition. But it's so obvious. It's so painfully obvious that Ten Hag is not United standard in terms of like the level of management that they need. But at the same time, I don't know if United is United standard anymore in terms of ownership, the players that they have at their disposal. I think it's going to be a long climb back to the top for their old United. And honestly, Adams, there was something I saw on social media, right? It was a Chelsea fan. He was getting angry at a Liverpool fan because he was saying, "You don't deserve to be top of the league because you're not confident in your team." He was like, "I wish I was top of the league because at least I'm ready to be confident in my team." So I'm looking at you now, Adams, and I'm like, you don't deserve this run that you're going on because you're still acting like some kind of scared.
No, yeah, it's just Adams is just it is no.
You know what I mean? We're about to play United, so I don't. Bro, this them, bro, they're bad. Listen, if you're about to go play Norwich at their ground, you wouldn't be saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna diss Norwich because I don't know. Norwich haven't won in like 3 years." Listen, these guys, bro, they're absolutely terrible. Take it from me. I was confident leading up to that game. Not for 1 second did I have any doubts. And we worked up it. And listen, if this Spurs team is making you look trash, then you are trash. That's just the simple truth. They cannot defend. Palmer's gonna have a field day. Jackson's gonna have a field day. Lavia's gonna run the midfield. Your defense, you're finally gonna find an attack that doesn't offer any threat. So you're all good. Trust
It's gonna
me.
be smooth. So yeah, so I think just to follow up your point, so I think Chelsea fans coming out, if Chelsea don't win that game, there's gonna be a lot of
Should be mad, right?
questions. Yeah, questions asked like what happened? How much time it seems that it's happy to draw with Fenerbahce and those guys away, conceding to Omorodion, Samu, those.
Listen, if you guys don't win that game comfortably, I'm going to be looking at you some type of way because they're absolutely the sweetest food in the Premier League right now. Bro, even West Ham have been struggling. They just had a man sent off. They didn't have Kudus. They came and tasted some of that dish and they were like, not bad. Not bad. It's not bad. Listen, it's a good meal. And Chelsea are in a good run. United don't want to play you guys right now. I think the way I always look at it is what do the opponents think about me right now? This is the last team United want to play right now. A team that is going to offer a lot in attack, a team that is going to come in with a midfield that's better than theirs, and a team that hates them enough to actually want to see them. You want to actually rub their face in it. So yeah, I look at the fixtures from last year. I'm like, they played much better than you guys at Old Trafford, and I feel like that result still pisses off Adams.
That game was disgusting. My God.
So I feel like you guys need some revenge.
We do
for sure.
We do.
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. So I think this is where we have to call it a day on the show today. Yeah, it was fun dealing with you guys. Thanks, Uzo, for coming out again as usual. Thanks. The Adams. Thanks.
Some of us don't hide when we lose. Couldn't find Adams after Chelsea got spanked.
I was here.
Couldn't find Pius after Nottingham Forest. Couldn't find
George.
Come on. Couldn't find George ever. The guy just go missing permanently.
MIA. In fact,
some of us.
They couldn't find George ever.
Regardless.
I'm sure if you see George, I'm sure if you ask him that, George will be like, "Yeah, football is not that important." In fact, right now I'm more into politics. Have you seen the US? Have you seen the prediction for the US election?
George's new copium. The only thing that brings him joy these days is tweeting about Neymar and Pogba being back, as if that matters to anyone. I didn't know the guy followed the Saudi league.
We won't be there. George, if you're listening, no worries. You're going to be back. Manchester United is a big club. It's a big institution. The club is going to be.
You ain't going to be back. It's over. Find a new sport.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, please don't forget to do the usual. Drop us a comment. Please, if you disagree with any of our opinions, if you think Manchester United is a bigger club than Liverpool, please let us know. tag me as to why. Give me your reasons, and I'll be sure to reply you. All right, guys. Take
All
care.
right,
Thank you so
guys.
much. Cheers.
Peace.